As you settle into the quiet of this moment, let your mind drift to a mud brick house in Babylon, around 1750 BCE, where the air carries the scent of sesame oil, baked clay, and the faint hum of a marketplace. In ancient Mesopotamia, being a bride was a role laden with expectation, duty, and risk, where women often young, from farmers to nobles, entered marriages shaped by law, family, and gods. Their lives were woven into the fabric of Sumer and Babylon, their days marked by the weight of contracts and the hope of stability. And this is not a tale of romance or rebellion, but of ordinary women navigating a world of rigid customs, their choices bound by clay tablets and divine decrees. There's no rush here, no need to cling to every detail. Let the soft glow of a terracotta lamp, the rustle of a linen veil, and the gentle murmur of a prayer to Inanna lull you, like the ripple of the Euphrates on a still evening. Close your eyes if you wish and let this journey into the challenges of being a Mesopotamian bride carry you toward rest. We'll explore 10 facets of this world, each a window into the lives of brides, from the daily routines that define their duties to the moments of resilience that sustain them. From the bustling streets of yore to the sacred temples of Babylon, we'll move slowly, savoring the textures and sounds of a world both vibrant and demanding. The air is heavy with the scent of barley and myrrh, the city alive with the clink of bronze and the chant of priests. Being a bride was a test of endurance. Life was a balance of obedience and survival. But there were also moments of connection, quiet strength, and fleeting joy. Let's begin by stepping into a Mesopotamian city, where marriage was both a bond and a burden, wrapped in the rhythm of a society ruled by gods and scribes. Imagine standing in a sun-baked courtyard in Ur in 1750 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of drying reeds, roasted barley, and the faint clatter of a loom. You're a bride, perhaps a merchant's daughter or a farmer's kin, living in a world where marriage binds you to family, gods, and law. The city hums with the chatter of vendors, the creak of ox carts, and the distant drone of a temple hymn. But your day is shaped by duties that test your strength and patience. A single day reveals the rhythm of this life, its pace steady but heavy. Let's wander through your routine, letting the sounds of the household, the clink of a water jar, the swish of a veil, the murmur of a blessing settle over you like a woven shawl, guiding you toward calm. Your day begins at dawn, roused by the bleat of goats, the air cool with the chill of mud brick walls and the scent of damp clay. You sleep on a reed mat in a shared room, under a wool blanket, the air heavy with the rustle of fibers and the warmth of family breath. You dress in a linen tunic and veil, their threads coarse, the air filled with the creak of a bronze pen and the weight of modesty. Breakfast is simple, barley bread with dates, its sweet tang mingling with the smoke of a brazier, the air warm with the effort of chewing. As a bride you grind grain or weave cloth, your hands calloused, the air filled with the thud of a pestle or the clack of a loom. Your role is to serve your husband's household, your body bound by contract, the air tense with the weight of expectation and the hope of fertility. If you're of higher status, you manage servants, your voice firm, the air heavy with the scent of oil and the clank of storage jars. Your marriage is a pact, your dowry secures it, the air thick with the fear of failure and the murmur of prayers to Inanna. The community is both a refuge and a judge kin, share meals, But eyes watch closely, the air warm with the murmur of gossip and the scent of sesame. A misstep risks shame. A barren year invites scrutiny, the air heavy with the fear of divorce and the hope of children. Temples offer blessings, their altars smoky, the air tense with the chant of priests and the weight of divine favor. As night falls, you rest on your mat, the air quiet save for the flicker of a lamp and the distant ripple of the river, your body weary from the day's burdens. As this world settles, let's shift to the life of one bride, whose story reflects the trials of marriage. Let your thoughts drift to a lamplit chamber in 1800 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of myrrh, clay, and the faint rustle of a linen veil. Here we meet Inanna, a young bride whose marriage reflects the challenges of her time. Imagine standing beside her, the glow of a terracotta lamp casting shadows on mud brick walls, the weight of a beaded shawl on her shoulders, the soft murmur of a prayer to Nana. Inanna's story is one of duty and endurance, her days a balance of obligation and hope. Let's follow her journey, letting the rhythm of her life, the clink of bronze, the scent of barley, the chant of a hymn lull you like a gentle current, guiding you toward rest. Inanna was born around 1820 BCE to a merchant family in Ur, the air heavy with the smell of wool and the bustle of markets. At 15, she was betrothed to Lugal, a scribe, through a contract sealed with clay, the air thick with the scratch of a stylus and the scent of wax. Sumerian laws, like those in the Code of Ur-Nammu, bound her to fidelity, the air heavy with the drone of scribes and the weight of vows. A tale of a shamed bride, whispered in the temple, taught her to guard her honor, the air tense with the weight of gossip and the hope of virtue. Her days were spent grinding grain or managing stores, her hands rough from a quern, the air filled with the thud of stone and the scent of barley. She bore a child, her body strained, the air heavy with the pain of labor and the murmur of prayers to Inanna. Intimacy was a duty shared with Lugal. In a dark room, the air warm with the rustle of reeds and the scent of oil. She found solace in weaving, her fingers nimble, the air heavy with the clack of a loom and the hope of stability. Hardship was constant. A drought in 1805 BCE shrank their stores, the air thick with the smell of dust and the fear of hunger. Inanna used herbal remedies, the air sharp with their scent and the hope of health. Gossip could harm. A neighbor's whisper of neglect risked shame, the air tense with the scrutiny of kin and the weight of law. Yet there were moments of light. She found joy in her child's laughter, shared over dates, the air warm with the scent of fruit and camaraderie. Festivals like the etched brought hymns, the air alive with the chant of priests and the smell of incense. In 1810 BCE, Inanna faced a trial. Her husband sought a second wife, the air heavy with the drone of scribes and the fear of demotion. She retained her status, her heart steady, the air thick with the murmur of prayers and the hope of respect. She died in 1795 BCE, likely from fever, her life unrecorded, but vital to her household's rhythm. As Inanna's story fades, let's shift to the traces of this world, uncovered by those who seek its past. Imagine standing amid the ruins of a Sumerian house, its bricks crumbling, where archaeologists uncover the traces of a society that bound its brides with law and custom. The year is now, but your mind lingers in 1750 BCE, where the air was thick with sesame, clay, and the quiet weight of duty. Brides like Inanna left fragments of their lives. Clay tablets, bronze pens, woven reeds that reveal the challenges of marriage. Archaeology and texts are a window into their world, showing a culture of obligation and ritual. Let's explore these traces, letting their stories settle like dust in a quiet courtyard, their whispers guiding you toward rest. Excavations reveal a world of order. A clay tablet found in Ur holds a marriage contract, its cuneiform faint, the air once heavy with the scratch of a stylus and the scent of clay. A bronze hair pin, buried in a dowry chest, marks adornment, the air once filled with the clink of metal and the scent of oil. Terracotta lamps, their wicks charred, lit households, the air once warm with the flicker of flame and the smell of tallow. These finds are fragile, their survival a testament to brides' roles, the air thick with the past. The culture was one of control, shaped by gods and law. The code of Hammurabi set dowries and duties, the air heavy with the drone of scribes and the scent of wax. Marriage was a pact fidelity or fertility demanded, the air tense with the weight of contracts and the murmur of priests. Tablets note punishments, divorce or fines for infidelity, the air heavy with the scent of fear and the hope of honor. Elite brides faced stricter rules, their dowries larger, the air filled with the clink of silver and the weight of status. Archaeology uncovers daily life. In houses, querns mark grinding, the air heavy with the thud of stone and the scent of barley. In temples, votive figurines hint at prayers for children, the air filled with the scent of myrrh and the labor of devotion. Mysteries linger in these finds. Why were some pins buried, perhaps as offerings? A faded tablet found in Babylon records a bride's plea, its words faint, the air thick with secrecy. Brides' lives are elusive, marked by looms or lamps, the air filled with the echo of their tasks. The community shaped this world, kin watching each other, the air warm with the murmur of gossip in markets. Priests judged lapses, their voices stern, the air heavy with the scent of incense and the weight of divine law. These traces, uncovered by careful hands, weave a picture of a society bound by duty, yet human in its struggles, the air thick with the scent of effort and obligation. As we leave this world of artifacts, let's shift to the lives of the elite, whose marriages shaped societal ideals. Picture yourself in a painted palace hall in Babylon, its walls vibrant, the air warm with the scent of cedar, myrrh, and the faint clink of silver cups. The year is 1750 BCE, and this is the world of the elite nobles and priestesses, whose brides faced the same laws as women like Inanna, but with greater scrutiny. The palace hums with the strum of a lyre and the murmur of a prayer, but their marriages carried higher stakes. Let's explore their world, letting the rhythm of their days, the flicker of lamps, the rustle of linen settle over you like a silken veil, guiding you toward calm. The elite, like Lady Shuptu, lived in splendor, their homes adorned with frescoes, the air heavy with the scent of oil and the glow of bronze lamps. They rose late, dressed by servants in fine linen, the air soft with the rustle of fabric and the clink of beads. Breakfast was rich, barley cakes with honey served on silver, the air fragrant with sweetness and the murmur of blessings. Their day was spent managing estates or offering prayers, the air filled with the scratch of stille or the scent of incense. Elite brides, like Priestess Inanna, led rituals, their voices firm, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and authority. Marriage was strategic. Shiptu's dowry was vast, her contract public, the air tense with the clink of silver and the weight of alliances. Fidelity was demanded, fertility expected, the air heavy with the murmur of scribes and the scent of clay. Inanna's role was sacred, her honor public, the air tense with the scrutiny of priests and the hope of divine favor. Tablets note lapse in infidelity or barrenness, the air heavy with the scent of shame and the fear of demotion. The contrast with Inanna's life is stark. Where she slept on a mat, the elite rested on cushions, the air warm with linen and lamplight. Where she ate bread, they dined on lamb, the air rich with grease and spices. Yet all faced the same God's offerings bound both, the air heavy with the scent of incense and the fear of divine wrath. Inanna watched all, their altars smoky, the air tense with the chant of priests and the weight of favor. Ordinary women sustained this elite world, their labor invisible. They ground grain or wove cloth, their hands calloused, the air heavy with the thud of pestles or the scent of wool. Their meals were simple barley, dates eaten by the hearth, the air smoky from a shared lamp. These workers were the city's pulse, their toil enabling its grandeur, the air filled with the rhythm of their tasks. The elite's world was one of power but also exposure. Their marriages were public, their honor fragile, the air thick with the weight of duty and status. As we leave this world of myrrh and silver, let's shift to the tools and technologies that shape their lives, the objects that defined their roles. Imagine standing by a mud brick hearth in the year 1750 BCE, where the air is thick with the scent of sesame oil, clay, and the faint glow of a terracotta lamp. Brides relied on tools, querns, looms, bronze pins, that shaped their daily duties and marital roles. For women like Inanna, these were simple, tied to survival, while the elite used finer versions for status. Let's explore this world of craft, letting the rhythm of grinding querns, clacking looms, and the steady drip of oil settle over you like the hum of a quiet household, guiding you toward rest. Household tools were central, their forms practical. Reed Stilley wrote contracts, the air filled with the scratch of nibs and the scent of clay. Inanna sealed her dowry, her hand steady, the air heavy with the effort of writing and the smell of wax. The elite used silver Stilley, their tablets ornate, the air soft with their shine and the scent of myrrh. Terracotta lamps lit homes, their oil flickering, the air heavy with the smell of tallow and the effort of tending flames. Work tools were vital. Stone querns ground barley, the air filled with the thud of stone and the scent of grain. Inanna ground flour, her arms aching, the air tense with the weight of labor and the murmur of prayers. The elite used bronze mortar, the air heavy with the clink of metal and the scent of spices. Looms wove linen, their wooden frames steady, the air heavy with the clack of reeds and the scent of wool. Personal tools shaped status. Bronze pins secured veils, the air filled with the clink of metal and the scent of oil. Inanna adorned her hair, the air heavy with the effort of grooming and the hope of respect. These tools brought risks. A cracked quern could delay meals. A broken pin could mar honor, the air tense with the effort of repair. Maintenance was constant sharpening Stilley, oiling looms, trimming wicks, and a broken tool could disrupt duty, the air heavy with worry. These tools were the household's framework, each one a testament to the effort to fulfill marriage, the air thick with the scent of labor and duty. As we leave this world of tools, let's shift to the customs and traditions that gave meaning to their lives, binding brides to their gods and kin. Picture yourself seated by a temple altar in Babylon, the year 1750 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of myrrh, the faint tang of barley beer, and the soft murmur of voices chanting a hymn. For brides like Inanna, life was shaped by customs and traditions, rituals that sealed their marriages and guarded their honor. These practices were a lifeline, offering order in a world of obligation. Imagine the flicker of a lamp, the rustle of linen, and the drone of a priest's prayer, their rhythm soothing like a familiar song. Let's wander through these rituals, letting their cadence wrap around you, guiding you toward rest. Religious rituals were central, their forms sacred. Inanna offered barley to Inanna, the air warm with the clink of grain and the chant of priests. Marriage vows were sworn in temples, the air heavy with the drone of blessings and the scent of incense. Festivals like the etched honored fertility, the air tense with the beat of drums and the weight of devotion. Betrothal feasts sealed contracts, the air filled with the clink of cups and the weight of kin's approval. Daily rituals were practical. Inanna veiled her face each morning, a nod to modesty, the air heavy with the scent of linen and the effort of grooming. Brides wore specific tunics, wool for citizens, linen for elites to signal status, the air filled with the rustle of fabric and the scent of dye. Superstitions guided actions. A charm warded off barrenness, the air heavy with the clink of bronze and the hope of protection. The gods' favor was sought through perfect conduct, the air tense with the weight of scrutiny and the murmur of oracles. Storytelling was cherished, done by lamplight. Tales of faithful wives or divine unions filled the air, their cadence soothing as Inanna listened, her hands resting from weaving. The air carried the scent of oil and clay, the stories of bond between kin, teaching duty or sparking reflection. Festivals offered relief. The new year brought processions, the air alive with the chant of hymns and the smell of beer. Inanna joined the crowd, her veil heavy, the air warm with the laughter of kin and the scent of incense. The community enforced these customs, kin watching each other, the air warm with the murmur of gossip in markets. Priests dictated rituals, their voices stern, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the weight of divine law. These rituals wove brides into their world, the air filled with the rhythm of shared devotion. As we leave this world of tradition, let's shift to the food and sustenance that nourished these lives, sustaining them through their burdened days. Imagine sitting at a low table in a mud brick house, the year 1750 BCE, where the air is warm with the savory scent of barley stew, the faint smoke of a brazier, and the soft murmur of a prayer to Anu. Food was a necessity, often shared, fueling the tasks of marriage and labor. For brides like Inanna, meals were modest, shaped by season and duty. Yet they were a pause in a life of obligation. Picture the flicker of a lamp, the clink of terracotta bowls, and the soft drone of a blessing, their warmth wrapping around you like a linen cloth. Let's explore the tastes, textures, and smells of their table, letting these details settle gently in your mind, guiding you toward rest. Barley was the staple, its grains soft and boiled into porridge. Inanna ate it with onions, their sharp tang biting, the air warm with the scent of broth and the clink of bowls. braziers baked flatbreads, the air heavy with the smell of char and the effort of kneading. On festival days, fish or goat was served, the air rich with grease or the savory aroma of herbs, a treat that softened the meal's plainness. Offerings to gods, beer or bread, were left at altars, the air warm with their scent and the weight of piety. Stews made from lentils or leeks were a daily dish cooked over a fire. Inanna stirred in garlic or dill, the air heavy with the earthy scent of broth and the steam that warmed her face. Fish, often from the Euphrates, added flavor, its smoky taste sharp, the air filled with the smell of oil. Meat was rare lamb for elites, broth for citizens, the air heavy with the aroma of fat and the murmur of prayers. The elite dined on dates or honey, the air rich with sweetness and the clink of jars. Vegetables were common, their availability tied to irrigation. Leeks or beans were staples, their earthy taste a contrast to barley. Herbs like coriander, grown in gardens, added sharpness, their aroma cutting through the stew's richness. Fruit was a luxury, pomegranates or figs, its sweetness rare, the air soft with their juicy scent. And Inanna shared a fig with her child, the air warm with the joy of a treat and the murmur of thanks. Beer was the drink of choice, its warmth soothing, the air filled with the clink of cups and the scent of barley malt. Water drawn from canals was served in clay, the air damp with its purity and the faint taste of silt. Meals were a communal act, families gathered by the hearth, their fingers scooping bread, the air warm with the glow of lamps and the murmur of talk. Gossip about kin, the day's duties, or tales of gods. The act of eating was a pause, a moment of connection in a life of duty, the air filled with the comfort of togetherness. As we leave the table, let's shift to the challenges and dangers that shaped their lives, from the perils of infertility to the threats of disease. Imagine walking a Babylonian street at dusk, the year 1750 BCE, where the air is cool, the lamps flickering, and the distant chant of a priest echoes through the mud-brick alleys. For brides like Inanna, life was a negotiation with danger, infertility, disease, and societal scrutiny were ever present, their impact felt in the quiet moments of fear and shame. Picture the flicker of a lamp, the weight of a charm in trembling hands, and the tense silence of a prayer for fertility, their rhythm a steady pulse in a world of uncertainty. Let's explore these perils, letting their weight settle gently in your thoughts, like dust falling on a quiet street, guiding you toward calm. Infertility was a relentless foe. Barrenness risked divorce or demotion, the air tense with the fear of shame and the murmur of prayers to Inanna. Inanna offered votives, the air heavy with the scent of myrrh and the weight of hope. Offerings to gods were a remedy oil or barley, the air thick with the murmur of blessings and the scent of incense. The elite faced harsher stakes, their lineage vital, the air heavy with the scratch of scribes and the fear of loss. Disease was a constant threat. Fevers or childbirth swept through houses, the air thick with the smell of herbs or sesame meant to ward off illness. And Inanna used garlic salves, the air heavy with their sharp scent and the fear of death. Physicians were rare, their remedies crude, the air filled with moans and the stench of decay. Water from canals could carry filth, its taste bitter, the air damp with the risk of every sip. Beer was safer, but costly, the air tense with the effort of rationing. Societal scrutiny was a peril of its own. A bride's lapse, gossip, or defiance risked ostracism, the air heavy with a murmur of accusations in the market. And Joanna faced judgment for a late temple visit, the air tense with the scrutiny of kin and the weight of gossip. The elite faced public trials, their sins recorded on tablets, the air thick with the murmur of scribes and the scent of clay. The community was a lifeline, kin sharing prayers or herbs, their voices a murmur, the air warm with the scent of oil and camaraderie. The city itself was a hazard. Floods from rivers could destroy homes, the air filling with mud and cries. Yet resilience was the era's strength, a quiet defiance against a world of duty and fear. As we leave this world of peril, let's shift to the education and learning that shaped their understanding of marriage, offering a glimmer of knowledge in a burdened life. Imagine sitting in a temple school by lamplight, the year 1750 BCE, where the air smells of clay and oil, and the faint scratch of a stylus traces a lesson. Education for brides like Joanna was practical, shaped by household skills and religion, yet it held a quiet power, a spark of understanding in a world of duty. For the elite, learning was richer, tied to ritual. Picture the glow of a lamp, the weight of a tablet in calloused hands, and the murmur of a hymn, their rhythm soothing like a gentle breeze. Let's explore this world of education, letting its faint light settle in your mind, guiding you toward rest. For common brides, education was simple. Joanna learned weaving and prayers, guided by her mother, the air heavy with the clack of a loom and the scent of wool. Girls studied cooking or childcare, their hands guided, the air filled with the thud of pestles and the scent of barley. Knowledge was shaped by faith. Hymns taught duty, the air thick with the weight of divinity and the murmur of study. Women memorized prayers to Inanna, their voices blending with kin, the air warm with the hum of Sumerian and the scent of myrrh. Learning was often oral. Brides memorized laws or myths, their voices blending in courtyards, the air warm with the drone of verses and the scent of oil. Reading was rare, writing rarer, reserved for scribes, the air heavy with the effort of listening. The elite read ritual texts, their libraries a treasure, the air filled with the rustle of tablets and the weight of learning. Joanna learned offerings, her prayers practiced, the air filled with the murmur of hymns and the hope of favor. Knowledge was shared in temples. Tales of faithful wives or divine brides filled the air, their cadence soothing as Joanna listened, her hands resting from grinding. The air carried the scent of incense and clay, the stories of bond between kin, teaching duty or sparking reflection. Priests shared laws, marriage codes, dowry rules, the air filled with the drone of lessons and the scent of wax. These lessons were a bond tying brides to their gods, the air filled with the rhythm of shared faith. Education faced challenges. Time was scarce, tablets costly, the air heavy with the demands of labor or marriage. Yet knowledge was a shield. A hymn learned could secure blessings, the air warm with its power. As we leave this world of learning, let's shift to the leisure and entertainment that offered a moment of joy, a chance to rest in a life of duty. Picture yourself in a Babylonian courtyard at dusk, the year 1750 BCE, where the air is warm with the scent of dates, beer, and the sound of a lyre drifts through the crowd. For brides like Joanna, leisure was a rare escape, a moment to find joy amid duty and scrutiny. These pastimes, music, feasts, and shared tales were a flicker of light in a structured world. Imagine the glow of a lamp, the clatter of cups, and the soft murmur of a story, their warmth wrapping around you like a woven shawl. Let's wander through these moments, letting their joy settle over you, guiding you toward rest. Festivals were the heart of leisure, tied to the gods. The etched festival brought hymns and goat, the air rich with the scent of grease and the chant of priests. And Inanna joined the crowd, her veil heavy, the air warm with the applause of kin and the glow of torches. The new year saw dances, the air alive with the beat of drums and the laughter of children. The elite hosted grand feasts, their tables laden, the air filled with the clink of silver and the scent of myrrh. Music was a constant joy, even in worship. And Inanna sang hymns to Inanna, her voice blending with the wind, the air warm with its melody and the scent of oil. Families played flutes by the hearth, their notes lightening the evening, the air filled with the hum of reeds and the murmur of praise. Work could be leisure weaving or storytelling, the air heavy with the clack of looms, or the scent of wool and the rhythm of shared tasks. Games were cherished. Women spun tops in courtyards, the air filled with the whir of wood and the laughter of kin. The elite played board games, the air heavy with the clack of stones and the scent of beer. Festivals brought spectacle dances or offerings, the air rich with the smell of dust and the excitement of a crowd. And Inanna watched, her tunic dusty, the air warm with the joy of a rare escape. Storytelling was beloved, done by lamplight. Tales of Ishtar's love or mortal devotion filled the air, their cadence soothing as Inanna listened, her hands resting from grinding. The air carried the scent of beer and myrrh, the stories of bond between kin, teaching duty or sparking laughter. The market was a stage, with gossip about rivals shared in whispers, the air warm with intrigue. These moments were a bridge, connecting brides to their world, the air filled with the rhythm of shared lives. As we leave this world of joy, let's shift to a final reflection, tying together the threads of these lives. In thinking about the life of a bride in ancient Mesopotamia, we are confronted with a world that in many ways feels unimaginably distant, set among mud brick houses, clay tablets, and temple courtyards dedicated to Inanna, yet in other ways contains threads that still weave through certain corners of modern life. To understand the full scope of the comparison, it's worth examining not just the superficial differences between 1750 BCE and today, but the deeper structures: law, economy, gender roles, family expectations, religious influence, and social pressures. Only then can we truly see where humanity has shifted and where the old patterns remain, sometimes in altered or disguised forms. One of the starkest contrasts is in the matter of personal choice. In Mesopotamia, marriage for a bride was almost never about individual preference or romantic love. Matches were arranged between families, guided by economic needs, property consolidation, or the desire for social alliances. Dowries, property, goods, or silver brought by the bride's family were central to these agreements. Today, in much of the world, marriage is an act of personal decision-making, rooted in emotional compatibility, shared life goals, and mutual consent. The very concept of a woman choosing her own partner as a right would have been alien in Inanna's yore. That said, the modern idea of choice is still uneven globally. In some parts of the world, arranged marriages remain common, and while many are consensual, others echo the pressures and negotiations of the ancient system, with dowries, bride prices, or family alliances still shaping unions. The legal structure of marriage also offers a rich field for comparison. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Code of Hammurabi and earlier codes like that of Ur-Nammu spelled out in striking detail the rights and obligations of husband and wife, as well as the penalties for perceived failures. Infidelity by a wife could lead to severe punishments, including divorce without dowry return, public shaming, or even execution in extreme interpretations. Infertility, even if caused by the husband, could be grounds for taking a second wife or concubine. In modern legal systems, at least in most democratic societies, marriage law generally enshrines equality between spouses. Divorce is often available to both partners. Fidelity is a mutual expectation, and infertility is not a legal justification for ending a marriage unless both parties consent. Yet in other regions, family law still contains clauses that reflect a distant kinship to Hammurabi's world, where women's marital security hinges on fertility or perceived sexual propriety. Economic dependence is another major axis of comparison. The Mesopotamian bride's survival and social standing were tied to her husband's household. Even in elite families, a wife's access to resources was mediated through her spouse or his kin. The dowry could serve as a kind of safety net, but it was often controlled by the husband's family, and a widow could find herself at the mercy of her in-laws. In the modern industrialized world, women's participation in the labor force allows for economic independence, with bank accounts, property, and salaries in their own names. Yet this independence is not universal. In many societies today, women still enter marriage without independent financial stability, and systemic barriers, such as limited inheritance rights, wage gaps, or restricted employment opportunities, keep them tethered to dynamics not so different from those of 1750 BCE. The role of religion in shaping marital expectations shows both deep divergence and occasional similarity. In Mesopotamia, marriage rituals were infused with divine sanction, conducted in temple settings and overseen by priests whose authority was seen as an extension of the god's will. The fidelity, fertility, and domestic harmony of a marriage were not just social matters. They were spiritual obligations. In contemporary secular societies, religious institutions may play little to no role in legal marriage. But in religious communities, marriage can still be treated as a sacred covenant, with moral codes dictating behavior within it. In certain faiths, failure to meet these codes can lead to community sanctions or exclusion, much as temple gossip and priestly disapproval could damage a Mesopotamian woman's reputation. The surveillance of community and enforcing marital norms is another bridge between the ancient and the modern, though the mechanisms have transformed. In Inanna's time, the gossip of neighbors, the watchful eyes of kin, and the judgments of elders ensured that a bride's behavior adhered to the prescribed model. In today's interconnected world, surveillance has gone digital. Social media can amplify personal choices into public spectacles, and moral judgment can arrive from strangers half a world away. The pressure to present an ideal marriage, whether to neighbors in 1750 BCE or to Instagram followers in 2025, reflects a shared human tendency to measure and display relationships in ways that reinforce social norms. Childbearing expectations create another striking parallel. In Mesopotamia, a bride's value was heavily tied to her ability to produce children, especially sons, to continue the family line and strengthen household labor. Failure to conceive could bring demotion, divorce, or the arrival of a rival wife. In many modern societies, the legal ramifications have vanished, but social pressures remain. Women still report being judged for not having children or for delaying childbirth. In some cultures, fertility treatments are pursued with a determination that recalls the votive offerings and temple prayers of ancient brides. The fear of being deemed incomplete without offspring persists in subtle and overt forms. Healthcare and survival rates offer one of the most profound contrasts. Childbirth in 1750 BCE was perilous, with no anesthesia, no germ theory, and limited herbal remedies. Maternal mortality rates were high, and infant mortality even higher. A woman's life could end in her teens or 20s simply from the act of giving birth. Modern medicine in developed nations has reduced these risks dramatically, with prenatal care, cesarean sections, and antibiotics saving millions of lives. Yet disparities remain in some developing regions. Maternal mortality rates remain shockingly close to those of the ancient world, underscoring that the distance from Inanna's reality is not measured in time alone, but in access to health care. Household labor also invites comparison. In Mesopotamia, daily chores such as grinding grain, weaving linen, fetching water, and tending the hearth consumed much of a bride's time. Elite women might delegate some tasks to servants, but the management of the household was still considered their domain. In modern households, domestic work is often shared or supplemented by appliances, hired help, or takeout meals, drastically reducing the physical labor required. Yet studies show that women still perform a disproportionate share of unpaid domestic labor worldwide, even when both partners work full-time, an echo of the expectation that the smooth running of the home is women's work. When we consider tools and technology, the leap in living conditions is extraordinary. Inanna's tools were manual and often heavy. Querns for grinding, clay ovens for baking, reed looms for weaving. Light came from smoky oil lamps, heat from wood or dung fires. In the modern home, technology has mechanized, electrified, and simplified these tasks, freeing hours from the day. Washing machines, ovens, and electric lighting are conveniences that would seem almost divine to a Mesopotamian bride. Yet, intriguingly, the symbolic value of certain tasks, such as preparing a special meal or crafting a handmade garment, still carries social and emotional weight, showing that some aspects of domestic labor retain their ritual or identity-forming roles, even when no longer economically necessary. The legal status of women within marriage shows another transformation. In ancient Mesopotamia, a wife's legal identity was closely bound to her husband's. She could own property in certain circumstances, but her capacity to act in contracts or legal disputes was often mediated by male relatives. In modern democratic societies, women generally have full legal personhood, independent of marital status. They can sign contracts, start businesses, and represent themselves in court. Yet in some parts of the modern world, legal systems still restrict women's rights in marriage, requiring male guardians for certain transactions, limiting divorce rights, or awarding custody based on gendered assumptions, showing that the struggle for full marital equality remains ongoing. Social mobility through marriage was possible in both ancient and modern contexts, but the terms have shifted. In Mesopotamia, marrying into a wealthier or more influential family could elevate a woman's status, though she would still be bound by the strict codes of her new rank. Today, while marrying up still exists in social imagination, mobility is less dependent on marriage thanks to education, entrepreneurship, and individual achievement. Yet in high-status circles, whether in politics, celebrity culture, or elite professions, marriage can still be strategically used to merge influence, just as it was in Babylonian palaces. The idea of leisure and personal fulfillment has evolved enormously. In 1750 BCE, leisure was tied to festivals, religious observance, and rare communal gatherings. Personal hobbies existed: music, games, storytelling, but were embedded in group settings and often tied to religious or seasonal rhythms. Today, leisure is individualized and abundant in developed countries, with options ranging from travel to digital entertainment. Yet the human longing for shared celebration persists. Weddings themselves remain a centerpiece of communal joy, echoing the public feasts and processions of Mesopotamia. Conflict resolution within marriage also shows both change and continuity. In ancient times, disputes were resolved through family mediation, temple arbitration, or legal judgment according to written codes. Power imbalances meant that the husband's grievances carried more weight. Today, couples can seek counseling, mediation, or legal adjudication with far more gender parity, at least in principle. However, power dynamics within relationships still influence outcomes, and in some regions, religious courts continue to govern marital disputes, echoing the temple-based justice of the past. The symbolism of the wedding ceremony has shifted, but retains a surprising continuity. In Mesopotamia, the ceremony was a public declaration of alliance, involving legal contracts, blessings, and feasting. The bride's veil, jewelry, and clothing were visual markers of her new status. Modern weddings, religious or secular, still carry symbolic attire, ritual vows, public celebration, and the exchange of gifts or property, though often in different forms. The language of commitment, community witness, and ceremonial marking of transition is one of the most enduring elements across millennia. We can also see parallels in the commodification of marriage. In Mesopotamia, the dowry was a tangible economic transaction, a way of securing the bride's position and enhancing the groom's resources. Today, while marriage is less overtly a financial exchange in much of the world, the wedding industry, costing billions annually, demonstrates how the transition to married life remains a commercial opportunity. The marketing of bridal attire, venues, and rituals taps into the same human desire to honor the significance of marriage with tangible, often costly, displays. A subtler point of comparison lies in storytelling and cultural ideals. In 1750 BCE, tales of faithful wives, divine unions, or cautionary examples circulated orally or on tablets, shaping the expectations of what a bride should be. In the modern era, media, films, novels, social platforms plays a similar role, defining and redefining ideals of romance, partnership, and marital roles. Just as in Hedgewanna's world might judge her against the mythical devotion of a goddess, today's brides may find themselves measured against cinematic fantasies or curated social media narratives. Even geography and environment shape both ancient and modern marriages in comparable ways. In Mesopotamia, the agricultural calendar, river flooding, and trade routes all influenced household rhythms. fertility patterns, and even marriage timing. In modern times, while we are less directly tied to seasonal cycles, environmental factors, housing markets, migration patterns, even climate change still affect when and how couples marry and build families. The ancient reality that marriage is deeply intertwined with the practical conditions of life is as true now as it was along the Euphrates. Lastly, there is the question of emotional resilience. In Mesopotamia, a bride's strength lay in adapting to her circumstances, maintaining her honor, and fulfilling her duties in the face of societal constraints. Her moments of joy, festivals, family laughter, shared stories were small but vital acts of endurance. Today, while the legal and social frameworks have changed, marriage still demands negotiation, compromise, and emotional labor. The context has shifted from clay tablets to digital contracts, from temple altars to courtrooms, but the human capacity to find connection, adapt to challenges, and create meaning within a partnership remains constant. In sum, comparing the life of a Mesopotamian bride to that of a modern woman reveals both extraordinary progress and stubborn echoes of the past. We have replaced dowry tablets with marriage certificates, temple incense with civil ceremonies, and quern stones with kitchen appliances. Yet the fundamental social functions of marriage binding families, regulating relationships, and shaping gender roles still persist. The greatest changes lie in personal autonomy, legal equality, and the resources to shape one's destiny, but the ancient patterns of expectation, surveillance, and symbolic ritual still thread through modern relationships. To walk in Inanna's sandals is to see not just how far we've come, but how deep the roots of marital customs run, and how history's imprint lingers quietly beneath the surface of contemporary life. As the sounds of the city fade, the strum of lyres, the rustle of veils, the scent of beer and myrrh, let your mind rest in the quiet that follows. We've wandered through the lives of brides like Inanna, from the rituals that bound their marriages to the moments of joy that softened their duties, from the weight of expectation to the resilience that sustained them. Their world was one of devotion and constraint, shaped by gods, kin, and the hum of the market. Yet it was also one of endurance, where shared laughter and quiet prayers offered strength. Imagine yourself now in a soft, warm bed, the air still and the pressures of their time far away, their courage a distant echo. Their lives, often unrecorded, remind us of the quiet victories that define duty in the face of challenge. Let the details slip away like embers fading in a brazier. The mud brick houses, the lamplit courtyards, the taste of barley and dates, they fade into the background, leaving only the peace of this moment. You've journeyed through a world that shaped a civilization, its brides' steady hands and enduring hearts, keeping its rhythm alive. Now it's time to rest, to let go of the city's hum and sink into calm. Close your eyes, if you haven't already, and let the gentle rhythm of history lull you into sleep, safe in the stillness of now.